Tommy continues to let his feelings be known about some of the differences between the way these games are being run and the enthusiasm at some of these venues that they've been to lately, like Kansas State and Iowa State, and now Kansas and Texas Tech, versus what we're getting here in Tucson at McKale Center.
Yeah, all those towns that you just mentioned have the same thing in common. They're all college towns that are less than 100,000 people, right? And they're our 10th generation. I mean, Fog Allen's been open for 70 years. You would imagine that there are 4th, 5th generation people who've had season tickets as families because, again, Lawrence is not a very big place. Coach knows this. He's from a small place as well. I mean, the Zags don't exactly have a giant gym, and they have a very loyal fan base as well. The problem, DK, is you're talking about the enthusiasm of small towns across the South and Midwest, or wherever we want to designate the schools of this spread out all over this country, but they're all small cities. And all of those small cities live and breathe Jayhawks. They live and breathe Red Raiders. They live and breathe all these different schools that Arizona's seen. Houston aside, right? The fan bases that he's talked about, he wishes McKale was more like that. McKale has always been what it is. Tucson's a town of a lot of wealthy people who come here to retire and don't have any affiliation whatsoever with Tucson and have the money to get season tickets to McKale. And it's always been the case. And we've been talking about McKale being more loud and boisterous and college energy, for 30 or 40 years. The issue there is you're going to have to knock on the door of every 85-year-old in the foothills who has season tickets, DK, and explain to them what a coordinated chant is. Because U of A is easy for a lot of those people to do. They just follow along. I think Tommy Lloyd is obviously admiring the uniformity of those fans in these small towns that all have their own shtick, and they've been doing it forever, right? Personally, I remember back in the early days before Arizona was very good at basketball, Arizona and McKale had a lot of fun little shticks that we did. That's before it became popular, and all of the out-of-towners bought up all the tickets. And now most of McKale, not most, 35% to 40% of McKale is people who don't have an affiliation with Arizona, and that's where your lack of enthusiasm comes. Outside of a 10-0 run or a 20-0 run, that's what the fans in McKale are all about. Show me, I'll react to something great. But that anticipatory buzz in the arena, that's civic pride for people born and raised in places like Lexington, like Lawrence, all these small towns and their colleges. That is what? Like 60% of the employees of the entire town work at those universities, DK? So yeah. It's just apples and oranges. Tucson is nothing like those towns. Tucson is the biggest college town in America, and unfortunately, for some head coaches, he's not the first to feel this, to go to a place like that they were in today and say, McKale has some things to learn from this crowd. He's not the first to make that sentiment, and unfortunately, he knows better than anybody else. He comes from there. He comes from a small town in Washington. He knows what that, grandfathers teaching their grandsons how to cheer when you go to Fog Allen is just not the way that this town in Tucson is built.
Yeah.
Unfortunately or fortunately, it is what it is.